A North Carolina grandmother graduates from college more than 50 years late, but better late than never.
And UNCP's annual festival at Old Main may be losing its luster for students.
Those stories plus, state grants could help you pay for summer college courses. I'm Jay Locklear.
And I'm Jayla Coley. You're watching Carolina News Today.
The CSX Railroad has announced closures of crossings that will take place next week in the town of Pembroke. Motorists are advised that work will take place on Deep Branch Road on May 3rd and, closer to campus, on North Carolina 711 downtown, also known as 3rd Street at that location. That railroad crossing will be closed on Wednesday, May 4th, affecting the daily commute to and from Lumberton and lunchtime traffic downtown. CSX is replacing railroad ties on a stretch of track that begins in Marion County, South Carolina, and proceeds north to Wilson County.
UNCP has announced the 2022 winner of the Board of Governors Award for Teaching, Dr. Stuart Thomas in the School of Business. The BOG Award is the system's highest annual teaching recognition and goes to one faculty member from each of the 17 schools in the system. Thomas has been at UNCP for 21 years and was evaluated by a committee of his peers after a nomination process. The winners receive a bronze medallion and a cash prize of $12,500.
As the school year comes to a close, our Student Government Association leaves us with some final updates about their legislative agenda. Here's what's going on this month.
Hey Brave Nation, my name is Jamaica Hernandez-Sanchez and I'm the parliamentarian for SGA, bringing you SGA's recap for the month of April. The 74th administration Catalyst for Change is coming to a conclusion and SGA is preparing for its next administration for the 2022-2023 academic year. Voting ended on April 3rd with the winners announced on April 6th. SGA elected 21 senators for the upcoming academic year alongside Talia Daniels as your president-elect and myself, Jamaica Hernandez-Sanchez, as vice president-elect. Thanks for the student body for participating in the election process. In legislative news, SGA brought several pieces to the Senate floor. These include the Pabellon Hispano Act, aiming to reinstate a space for Hispanic students on campus. The Vice President Acknowledgement Act, aiming to commemorate past SGA presidents, and the University Center Extension Act, which seeks to extend the UC hours to 1 a.m. on weekdays. We also had legislation relating to our University and Community Relations Committee and our Government Operations Committee. SGA had two organizations request funding packets. Campus Association of Social Workers requested $600 to provide hygiene products for students at risk of homelessness. And the student representatives from the Office of Student Inclusion and Diversity also requested $600 for Brave Pride t-shirts to support the LGBTQIA+ community here at UNCP. We approved both granting both funding packets. For more information on SGA, be sure to follow us on social media at UNCP_SGA and find the Student Government Association on Brave Connect to stay up to date on our events. And as always, go Braves.
The Office of Campus Engagement and Leadership hosted the annual festival at Old Main on Saturday. The event was open for the public and for students to enjoy. Despite this, many students were not in attendance. I was there and I decided to find out why turnout for campus events has been sparse this semester. The Office of Campus Engagement and Leadership hosted the annual festival at Old Main on Saturday. The festival is a 30-year tradition connecting the community and campus together. This is the first time since 2019 that both the town of Pembroke and students were able to enjoy this event due to the coronavirus. As we inch closer to a new normal in the midst of the pandemic, most students are still on edge about attending on-campus events or going to events that involve the community. Shelby Perry, Board of Trustees member for the Pembroke Activity Council, says the residents of Pembroke were able to enjoy more of what the festival had to offer compared to the students.
It was more community than students. I really could have wished we had a bigger turnout of students, but I did see some familiar faces that I usually see on campus, so some students did attend, but I would have loved to see more students.
The lack of student presence was very evident. Anaya King, senior at UNCP, says that COVID isn't a factor with student attendance. Lack of school spirit is.
Students is what make the events fun. And if you go in with a notion that it's going to be boring, then you're not going to have a good time.
In spite of the absence of student participation, people who attended the event were given a free t-shirt upon check-in. There were also personalized gifts that attendees were able to wait in line to receive. Sodexo, the dining and catering service on campus, served up delicious food that even Braveheart seemed to enjoy. The festival featured live music that drew the crowd's attention, especially the music from Kalante Gavin, who is a gospel recording artist from Charleston, South Carolina. His presence alone brought in most of the students who were in attendance. For Carolina News Today, I'm Jayla Coley.
Governor Roy Cooper is directing new federal funding to help college students pay for summer classes. The UNC system will get about $16 million for this Summer Accelerator program. The program aims to keep students on track for graduation or to speed up their timeline. Students can apply for grants up to $5,000 to pay for tuition, fees, and housing based on the number of credit hours they'll be taking. The community colleges and private schools will have access to $5.3 million in funding. Interested students should contact their school's financial aid office.
It's never too late to follow your dreams, and one 75-year-old grandmother in North Carolina has a degree to prove it. Lena Tillett of WRAL has her inspiring story.
At Shaw University, 75-year-old Rebecca Inge walked into the bookstore.
And I saw this shirt and I had to have it. 65 is the year that I first came to Shaw.
Way back in 1965. And she has the student ID to prove it.
The manager was excited. I said, this was my year. This is the year I came to Shaw. 1965.
That's when Inge hopped on a train, leaving her Sanford, Florida home to pursue a college degree in Raleigh.
I always dreamed of going to med school because I was sick a lot as a child. I dreamed of being a surgeon.
Soon job opportunities, marriage, and then in 1968, the birth of her daughter put college on the back burner.
Basically, she put her life on hold so that I could finish my 21 years, all of my education.
When Inge's husband passed away 7 years ago, she returned to the Shaw University campus to re-enroll.
And the lady looked at me. She said, well, I don't know if we have your records. I said, then find them.
Inge's journey took her around the world, but brought her back to Wake County with her daughter's family. Her philosophy is much like the pillow beside her.
You gotta live until you die, so why not be happy? Find something that makes you happy and get involved.
Inge says obviously many things at Shaw have changed. They didn't have personal computers and emails back in the 60s. Her commencement ceremony is set for May 8th.
Fire officials say a smartphone sparked a fire in a North Carolina home.
And states are getting lax in reporting their COVID cases.
A woman mowing a lawn ends up being rescued by a local police department.
You don't want to miss these stories. We'll be back after this message from the North Carolina Department of Transportation.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of NCDOT Now. I'm Lauren Haviland. Department of Transportation engineers from across the nation are taking back some knowledge that they recently got from a conference here in Raleigh focused on stormwater impacts back to their communities. Engineers shared information and experiences when it comes to regulating and managing water runoff, especially for construction and maintenance of transportation projects. Those in attendance also got to see the ongoing research with our local universities in action. The goal for the state engineers is to manage stormwater runoff and make it as clean as possible.
Water is so important in our lives. You know, we drink it, we have recreation around it, we fish in it, we swim in it. So, and in North Carolina, we have a lot of water. So it's very important what runs off into that water, so that it's, you know, protected for, you know, the generations to come.
Engineers and volunteers are also making sure our land is protected too. The spring litter sweep is underway and we need your help. Last year, more than 13.5 million pounds of litter were picked up from state-maintained roadways. Now through April 30th, grab a group of people and a trash bag and head out to a local road to help keep North Carolina clean.
Our volunteers, you know, we couldn't do it without them. We have a great contract services that we use. We also have our team, as you saw today, but our volunteers are the heart. We see a lot of them on Saturdays and weekends taking their personal time to do things that we can prevent.
For more information on how you can participate, go to ncdot.gov/littersweep. That's all for this week's NCDOT Now. Safe travels.
States are scaling back on reporting COVID-19 data. Experts worry less frequent reporting could stall efforts to delay outbreaks. 1 year ago, all 50 states were reporting new cases daily, but that has trailed off. Half of states report once a week, and Florida is down to every 2 weeks. At a federal level, the White House COVID team publishes its community profile report with trends and indicators. COVID-19 data throughout the pandemic has been utilized by governments at all levels. Experts say that even as COVID-19 patients improve, they still remain much worse than the bad flu season.
With the Biden administration's mask requirement for major public transportation no longer in effect, some might be wondering, will I still be protected if I'm the only one wearing a mask? The answer may surprise you. Jen Sullivan of CNN tells us more.
Masked traveler, party of one? As airlines, trains, and various bus companies have announced they will no longer require passengers or crew members to wear masks, some people responded with relief. Yay, no more masks! Others with slight panic.
I'll always wear my mask.
While many companies like Delta and Amtrak say those who still want to stay masked up are encouraged to do so, the question arises, if you're wearing a mask but no one else is, are you still protected? According to CNN's chief medical correspondent, one-way masking still has benefits.
It does depend to some extent on what kind of mask you're wearing.
As we've heard throughout the pandemic, cloth and surgical masks do not offer as much protection for the wearer as others.
Whereas if you look at these high filtration masks and N95, KN95 masks, these are very good masks. They have significant filtration, they have electrostatic fibers that really help sort of screen out the virus, but they're not perfect.
Gupta says it also depends on the ventilation where you are.
Airplanes are probably one of the safest places because of the high air exchange rates, and we haven't seen significant outbreaks on airplanes.
And of course, the more transmissible the virus, the greater the chances are of you getting infected. So while one-way masking isn't as effective in protecting you from COVID-19, wearing one can still be a very good mitigation measure, especially if you're also vaccinated and boosted.
A North Carolina man is being called a hero after jumping into action to save a woman's life during a flight. Amanda Lamb of WRAL has the harrowing tale.
As a professional extreme athlete, Seth Coley travels all over the country.
I was actually in a window seat.
Last month, he was flying from Arizona to Las Vegas when a young woman stopped breathing.
And they yell, "Is there any medical personnel on board?"
Coley is trained as a wilderness first responder.
I was shocked that I was the only one that really knew what to do.
When someone brought him the plane's medical kit, a key item he needed was missing.
Like, I need an MPA or an OPA. Both of those systems are basically a straw for your nose or your mouth, and it basically forces an airway open.
Coley was still able to get the woman breathing again by manipulating her neck and airway. But when he called and emailed Frontier Airlines to discuss his concerns, he got an automated response. So he posted about it on social media to get their attention.
And I want to make sure that the people feel safe flying with certain airlines. Like, I think that's really irresponsible.
Frontier Airlines would not address this specific situation, but sent us a statement saying it is a regulatory requirement to have specific emergency and first aid equipment on an aircraft, and the required equipment is the same for all airlines. If any equipment is missing, a flight cannot be dispatched absent an FAA-approved exemption.
The Federal Aviation Administration said airlines risk receiving a fine for not following the rules. Coley said Frontier has all his contact information and he hopes they will reach out to him about his concerns.
A North Carolina woman says if it weren't for the Riverbend Police Department, she doesn't know she would be alive today. Alvita Silverston says she normally cuts her neighbor's grass as a friendly gesture and loves riding her John Deere lawnmower every week as therapy. But she didn't expect what happened last Tuesday. Star Connor of WCTI tells us more.
I feel very blessed, very blessed. It could have been a whole lot worse.
Alita Silverston says she's doing good but has 7 broken ribs and bruising, but is feeling lucky after being rescued from the river canal in her backyard.
Just cutting grass, a normal day for us, working in the yard. Didn't plan on going in the canal. And I was right up here. And I went all the way up to this block, right here. So I went to back up, and when I did, I thought I was backing up, and I hit the gas and went over.
Neighbor Judy Campbell says when she saw that her friend was pinned, she panicked.
It sounded like she hit the tree, but she didn't.
Thankfully, it only took seconds for the Riverbend Police Department to respond.
It was obvious that she was struggling, keeping her head up. So at the point in time, my first priority was to get her head up and safe so she could breathe.
It was very heavy. I was the one who lifted it off of her. I was able to get it up high enough so she could get out from under the lawnmower without further injury. Basically, seconds matter, because within no time at all, it takes 7 seconds of inhaling water that you could possibly go unconscious.
And Syverston says thanks to the quick response, she's still here to tell her story today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. They are my heroes. They are heroes.
Syvertson was flown to the hospital for treatment. She was released on the same day and says she intends to cut grass again after she fully recovers.
A North Carolina homeowner had a close call Wednesday after her smartphone almost caused a house fire. A Garner fire captain is convinced that her Samsung phone sparked a blaze that could have destroyed her home. Adam Owens of WREL filed this report.
This must be the battery that's burnt to a crisp.
Sarah says the same thing could have happened to her home. Wednesday night, she arrived to find a lot of smoke.
There was smoke, there was little flares coming up, and then it started busting out in huge flames.
Sarah, who asked us to use only her first name, showed us scorch marks on the counter.
That got really hot.
It just probably went boom, like sizzled, and I grabbed the phone and I threw it out the door.
A doorbell camera caught firefighters arriving, placing fans to clear out the smoke.
And the firefighter came in the house and looked, and he's like, you know, you're lucky you didn't lose your house.
Fire investigators tell us a captain on scene believed the fire was caused by a malfunctioning device. Sarah's phone is a Samsung. She tells me it did not get hot or show any obvious signs of danger, but lines had started to appear on the screen.
But nothing major to tell you that something was wrong with the phone.
We reached out to Samsung for a comment. In a statement, the company says, Samsung stands behind the quality and safety of the mobile devices in use in the U.S. They say they have reached out to Sarah to retrieve the device and learn more about the specifics behind this experience. They say until they thoroughly examine the unit, it is impossible to determine the cause of any incident.
The smartphone's owner says it was not plugged in at the time of fire.
A college baseball player faces serious charges.
And Braves softball finishes out their regular season with big numbers on the board.
Stay tuned for Deshaun Donald.
Finishing off the regular season, Braves softball handed Converse University a doubleheader defeat on Saturday in Spartanburg. The Braves rallied late to come away with an 8-0 win in Game 1. In Game 2, the Braves were pacing themselves until Converse tied it up at 5 runs apiece in the bottom of the 4th inning. But the Braves exploded into the 5th inning with 9 hits and 11 runs. Emily Rose had 4 RBIs. The final score, 16-7, when the game was called at the end of the inning. Converse University has only won 1 game all season. The Braves are 14-10 in Conference Carolinas and return to Spartanburg this Thursday to begin a tournament run. Members of the Braves track and field team were in Columbia over the weekend for the UFSC Open. The squad racked up 11 marks, and Alanis Gamble tallied an NCAA provisional qualifying mark with a leap of 2.11 meters, which was enough for second place in the high jump. Gamble outperformed 12 Division I athletes in the event and matched a provisional mark he registered earlier this season. The men's 4x 100-meter relay team placed 4th. The Conference Carolina Championships began Friday in Mount Olive. Braves baseball drove down to South Carolina to face off against Francis Marion for a weekend series. Friday, the Patriots rallied all the way back from an early 5-0 deficit, but the Braves tacked up 6 unanswered runs behind a clutch relief effort from freshman Will Harris. Final score 11-5. Saturday's doubleheader was a sweep for the Braves. They struck out 9 batters and did not allow an earned run in 8 of the innings. The Braves will finish up their regular season this week. They're hosting USC Aiken here at home as I speak, and this weekend they'll play host to Emmanuel College. A Texas college baseball player has brought new meaning to the term offensive tackle. He's facing serious consequences after taking down an opponent during a game last week. The surprise tackle in a sport that doesn't call for it was caught on the school's webcast. Here's a story from reporter Scoot Jefferson in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas.
Looked like a pretty good pitch there, just missed Woodward.
This is video of the Weatherford College Coyotes ahead in their first game against the North Central Texas College Lions. But the tables turned in the 6th inning of their 7th inning matchup when Lions batter Josh Phillips takes the plate.
Oh, it's over the fence. It's a 2-run home run to give the Lions the lead.
Next, you eventually see Weatherford pitcher Owen Woodward leave the mound to launch a serious attack.
Oh my, oh no.
I've never seen a pitcher attack a defenseless runner.
Former college baseball player Kel Bordwine runs a Twitter account called Texas College Baseball. He knew right away the non-sportsmanship conduct would cost the player and the team.
When I saw this, I was like, there's no way these guys are sacrificing their season, but futures in the sport as well. This is not going to bode well with whoever sees it.
A statement from Weatherford College baseball coach Jeff Lightfoot says, quote, "We are shocked and disappointed." Coach Lightfoot explained they are completely embarrassed and apologized to North Central Texas College and the fans of WC baseball. Umpires shut down the doubleheader, and now the attack is under investigation by the college and Weatherford College Police.
North Central has taken the lead here in game 1.
Weatherford's pitcher.
Oh my, oh no.
Could face school discipline, including expulsion.
On a lighter note, the Carolina Hurricanes are approaching a division title after Sunday's win against the New York Islanders. Tonight they face the Rangers, who are 4 goals behind them in the standings, and they'll square off against the New Jersey Devils on Thursday. Well, that's it for sports. I'm Deshaun Donald, and I'll see you next week.
And that's it for us. Next week, we'll wrap up the semester with some special campus and community stories.
Thanks for watching. I'm Jayla Coley.
And I'm Jay Locklear. Don't forget to subscribe.